Yo, 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 yo. What's going on, social media world? It's your boy Sincere, J Red, Flatbush, Brooklyn. Y'all already know. Welcome to the page. Like and subscribe. If you're already a subscriber, I appreciate you. Thank you. Because you could be doing anything with your time right now. And you're sitting, standing, driving, cooking, whatever it is you're doing. Appreciate you that you tuned in, you locked in, you focused to listen to what I got to say. That means a lot to me because you know, and I definitely know, I'm not talking about no weird shit on my page. I'm not talking about no fugazi, fraudulent, space cadet, weirdo shit. You know that I'm not about that. You know what I'm saying? Y'all want the gimmicks, y'all want the comedy, y'all want the rapping, dancing, singing. Nothing's wrong with that. Different strokes for different folks. But this is not what I'm about on my platform. I'm here to give you nothing but unbiased material from my life experience, from things that I've read, people that I know, and just growth mindset material. Y'all already know. Hit that like button, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Come on, participate and appreciate, man. Don't hate, man. You know what I mean? Enough of the I'm doing you can't be doing. I'm not no different from you. I'm human. I stand and pee. I shit just like the regular average man and woman. So everything I'm doing, you could be doing it as well. I'm just probably more consistent. It's more important. I take it, I prioritize what I do because I'm passionate about it. I love what I do because I know what self-awareness, conscious awareness, I know what it has done for me in my life. And it took me from where I used to be, and I still got a long way to go, social media world. Far from perfect, still trying to elevate. It's a continuous grind. It's a continuous learning process and unlearning process because we've been fed a lot of bullshit, excuse my language, throughout our life that we didn't know no better. You know what I'm saying? And when you don't know no better, you can't do no better. So sometimes you got to give yourself a pass, go out, do the homework. You're your biggest investment. Invest in you. I know a lot of you guys like to go above and beyond for your jobs, your corporations, and people you work for, which is all good and well. Listen, I salute you for that. But don't shortchange yourself. You got to put into you because ain't nobody else gonna put into you. When you're not working on you and your dreams, you helping funding somebody else's goals and dreams. So that's a little bit of food for thought. But today I want to talk about, because one of my friends, I'm not gonna name no names because I don't know if you want me to put him on blast like that, but he left a comment in the last video I did, giving me flowers, telling me to keep doing what I'm doing, and I appreciate that. Shout out to you. You already know who you are. But he left a comment and he wanted me to talk about a specific topic. It was about understanding and comprehension. And that's a broad topic. So I'm gonna try to keep it real brief and straight to the point because you guys know how I like to vary off, and I get too detailed. See, I talk too fast sometimes. I be fumbling, stumbling my words. That's to show you, I'm still an amateur at this. I ain't a professional. I didn't go to no speech therapy class or life coaching class, which I do have plans to do in the near future because I love this shit. So since I love it, I got to invest in my craft. If I want to get better at me feeding you guys information or like-minded people like myself, because that's who I do these videos for the regular, like-minded people who don't know no better, who's from the hood, who's kind of ignorant in certain areas of their life because of not kind of seeking information. You know what I'm saying? When you're not seeking information, you're only going off the information that you have in this present moment, which might be very limited, depending on your situation, your circumstances, the people you surround yourself, and the time and investment you're putting into you. You know what I'm saying? So he wanted me to do a video about understanding and comprehension. So I feel for understanding and comprehension, you should definitely have some type of emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence? People out there is always talking about, oh, she's not emotionally intelligent. She's not emotionally intelligent. So my definition of emotional intelligence is being aware of your emotions and the emotions of those around you and other people, which is kind of go hand in hand with self-awareness. You know what I'm saying? So to you, my boy who asked you to do the video, everybody's not going to be comprehensive and understanding to what you got to say. You know what I'm saying? Yes, everybody have ears. You know what I'm saying? You always hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I hear you. Oh, I heard you. Yeah, you heard me and you hear what I was saying because you got ears. You're not deaf." You know what I'm saying? But that's where the understanding, that's where the emotional intelligence and you being able to comprehend what I'm actually saying and not what you think I am saying. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people fall short in that area because they want to hear what you're saying and listen to what you're saying, but still have their own decipher of what you meant. When somebody is talking to you, you should focus on what the person is saying at the time and in the moment. Get out your head. Stop building a response for when this person shuts up because you want to give your input and your 2 cents, whether it's an agreement, because sometimes it would be an agreement. You have people, I'm sure you guys know, and I'm sure you can all relate to this. You know, sometimes when you're talking to somebody and you get 3, 4 words out, and just because they can relate to what you're saying, they cut you off and then start talking about their whole situation or how it relates in their life. You know what I'm saying? And now they done missed the whole message because you didn't let the other person finish talking. They could have been dropping some jewels that you probably could have benefited from. A lot of people need to be patient. I see in this fast-paced world, everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants to talk to feel validated, or just because of the excitement, or because of the lack of self-awareness, or whatever the case may be. But you need to just be still sometimes, because sometimes you're missing out on key, important information on what the person that you're talking to is trying to say. Because by you cutting them off, they could have been saying something that would have benefited your life. But now you want to talk and let them know you're so eager and excited to let them know that, oh, I already kind of know what you're talking about, or I understand. So let me put my 2 cents and piggyback. You're piggybacking off of the before you even hear the whole statement. You know what I'm saying? And when you do that, guess what you're doing? You're not doing nothing for you when you do that. Because when you think about it, social, really think about what I'm saying. Let me make some eye contact with you guys, man. Really think about what I'm saying right now. When you interrupt this individual from stopping and cutting them off to talk about what you already know, because what you're about to tell them is something that you experienced. So you already know that information. You've lived with it, you memorized it, it's a habit. So now instead of comprehending what they're trying to tell you, you disregarded it, not intentionally, not purposely, but you kind of disregarded it because you were so eager and enthusiastic to let them know, oh, yes, I know what you're saying. I could relate. I could talk. But you're just reaffirming things that you already know. So you're teaching yourself and re-memorizing what you already know already. What's the purpose of that? How are you learning off of that? Don't you think you would be learning more if you was to hear what this person was saying? Because you don't know what that man or woman was about to say. They could have told you something that might have changed your whole world, had your head spinning. Like, oh shit, I never thought of it like that. But because you didn't let this person speak, because you didn't have the patience or the self-awareness or the emotional intelligence, because how you think that person might have felt? You know, if they're a very high valued person, they're going to let you speak because maybe they have emotional intelligence and they're not going to cut you off. And they're like, hey, obviously what you got to say is way more important than what I got to say. So I'm going to let you speak because you had the nerve to want to cut me off while I was talking to you just to validate something you already know because maybe you're trying to impress me. Or, like I said, I'm not in people's heads, but I've learned people do this all the time. I don't think they do it vindictively. I don't think they do an intention to kind of piss somebody off. I think it's just a lack of self-awareness, lack of awareness, and sometimes here and there, lack of emotional intelligence. You know what I'm saying? And everybody does it. Don't get me wrong. Times I do it, but I catch myself. I say, my bad. And when I do it, I stop myself immediately. I said, my fault for cutting you off. And then I let them continue because I don't want them to lose their train of thought. You know what I'm saying? Especially if it's something that might be benefiting me, but I won't know until I finish hearing what they're talking about. Then I kind of know. But it's like everybody is just, I don't know if it's because of times, the modern technology, or what it is, but there's so much impatient people that just want to just get everything out their mouth as somebody else is talking. You know what I'm saying? And like, sometimes I wish it was like school. Like, you know how you had to raise your hand so you just didn't cut the teacher off while she was talking? You put your hands up and the teacher calls on you, and then you got to speak with nobody cutting you off, not even the teacher. Like, I don't want to say that we should baby ourselves and baby relationships where we need to be doing that. But sometimes it's kind of frustrating sometimes, and you kind of cutting yourself short. The person who is cutting the other person off, because it could have been some jewels you could have learned from. You know what I'm saying? But you, whether you're noticing it or unnoticing it, you're cutting yourself short by just telling them something that you already know. So while they're trying to put you on, you trying to put them on. Relax. You know what I'm saying? Relax. Let this person say what they got to say. And then if you know you can't wait, if you got a short-term memory, because sometimes I got a short-term memory because my years of chronic abuse. You know what I'm saying? I don't smoke marijuana no more. I don't smoke bud no more. But it definitely does. Whoever tells you otherwise, if you were a heavy chronic smoker, it definitely damaged some brain cells, and your short-term memory is definitely a little low. You know what I'm saying? So when it happens to me, I say, pardon me, not to cut you off, but, and then I try to keep it as brief as possible because I know this person has the floor. They have the platform. They were talking and they were not done talking. So it's disrespectful that I'm cutting them off and not letting them say or continue to finish what they want to say. So I kind of feel like that's very, very disrespectful. And like I said, to the person who's on the receiver end, you're kind of shortchanging yourself because you never know what the hell this person was going to say fully until they finish saying what they had to say. You know what I'm saying? So to my boy who left the comment and he was asking that, and and in another situation, I feel like you need to kind of surround yourself with mindful people, growth mindset people, people who have self-awareness, have emotional intelligence, because you wouldn't be going through these things. So when you see a lot of people just can't help themselves when they're talking because it's a habit. They've probably been doing it since they was 7, 10, 15, 17. And because they're not aware of it, guess what? Now when you're 30, you don't have 20 years on the back of doing that. So this is just, it's natural to you. You're not even looking at it as an issue because you've been doing this for 20 years plus. So you, that's the norm. You know what I'm saying? But that's not how it should go because you are not understanding what the person is trying to say. And sometimes your perception, what you perceive or what you think they meant, you didn't really get because as they're talking, not only did you cut them off, but while they're talking, for you to cut them off, you had to been thinking about what you want to think about as they're talking. You know what I'm saying? So already as they're talking, as soon as they said something that connected with you here, you're already thinking about your response and what you want to say. And you're missing out on a lot of fruitful information. Unless you feel like you're talking to an idiot. If you're talking to an idiot, then I'm not going to say shame on you, but this doesn't apply if you're talking to somebody who doesn't have emotional intelligence. Then I would say, yeah, cut them off because what they're saying ain't making no sense to you and you don't want to hear it. Or you just say, listen, I understand what you're saying, and you kind of just switch the subject on them. Excuse me. It's still kind of disrespectful in a sense. This is why I don't try to have deep conversations with people who I feel is emotionally unintelligent. I'm not doing it because I know I'm wasting my breath and my time is very important. Time is money. So if I know you're not going to get it, or if you show me patterns and signs that by me saying what I'm saying, you're not really gonna integrate it in your life anyway, then what am I really doing it for? I'm not just talking to have lips. I'm talking because I genuinely want to help you, and I feel like you could be benefiting off the information that I'm talking about. But if I feel like you're not that type of individual, then I'm saving my breath and I'm just gonna keep my thoughts and my jewels and my gems to myself because it's a waste of time. You know what I'm saying? Everybody think that they're the most important person in the world. Everybody feels like that about themselves, whether they're stupid, whether they're ignorant, whether they're crazy, whether they're regardless. Everybody feels like they're the most important person in the world. You know what I'm saying? This is why I say you need to really work on yourself, go in deep, do that internal work. You have to do that internal work because you don't even know where you're lacking. You think you're good. You know how much older people I know that are not mature, but people think maturity comes because of age. It's true if you do statistics, but realistically, it's not true because there's a lot of very immature people and they're in their 60s and 70s. You know what I'm saying? It all depends on what you did with your time, the information you were seeking, and what you was prioritizing. Then it becomes a fact. But most people are just coasting. A lot of people just want to coast through life and just want to do what's fun and easy. And we all know working on ourselves is not fun. Self-evaluating yourself, reading a self-help book, listening to an audible, I'm pretty sure you could find a lot more funner things to do. Maybe like watching 90 Day After Lockup or Cheaters or Love and Hip Hop or whatever type of entertainment you like to do. There's a lot of other things people would rather do than sit there and pick up a book and say, you know what? I know I have no patience. I know I'm not self aware. Let me go get a book on how to become more self aware. Let me go get a book on how to become more patient. Let me go get a book on how to be a better version of myself and be positive. Let me get a book and get some things because clearly, if I know it and knew it, I'd be doing it. And that's half the truth because even if you know it and knew it, that just means you're aware. That just means you're not in denial. The other half is implementing what you're reading, what you're listening to, and putting into practice because that's the only way you're going to change. You know what I'm saying? You could know, an alcoholic could know they have a problem that they're alcoholic, but if they're not doing anything different, if they're not changing their daily habits and changing their thoughts and changing their environment, guess what? They're still going to be abusing alcohol. The only difference is they'll tell you, yeah, I'm an alcoholic. Does that mean that they're going to stop? Absolutely not. They have to do different things to stop, but at least they're not in denial. So when somebody's not in denial, then it's not an argument. You know what I'm saying? They're taking accountability, but yet they're still going through the process of doing what they've been doing. And we all know change don't come from doing what you've been doing. You're just getting better at doing what you've been doing. You know what I'm saying? So again, when you realize and you're talking to people and you see certain patterns and certain signs, because I feel like most of the world lacks self-awareness. There's a lot of mentally selfish people out here in this world, and people don't even know they're mentally selfish because in their head and in their world, they're the most important part. So they're thinking and doing and moving what's best for them. You know what I'm saying? And emotional intelligence is acknowledging your emotions and acknowledging the emotions of others. So if you're acknowledging somebody else's emotions, you could see by you being mentally selfish how it may affect the person that you're talking to or the people that you're around. You can't be empathetic if you have no emotional intelligence. You need to be empathetic because that's how you can relate to people. That's how you can give some sound advice and really see and hear where they're coming from genuinely, unbiasedly, because if not, you're going to be going off your perception of what you think they meant, what you think they're talking about. And sometimes that's not always correct. You know what I'm saying? Let's stop doing a lot of assuming and asking questions. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people make a lot of assumptions. Like I could be talking to somebody and they'll still not interpret what I mean, what I'm saying. And I made sure I've developed this habit from very young to give explicit details just so you could get it. Because the point, especially if it's an important message I'm trying to give you, I'm trying to give you a message. I don't want to hear tomorrow or the next day or the next week. Oh, I thought you meant this. I thought you meant that. No, no. I was very, very detailed. How could you think or thought that I meant that? No, if you were thinking and listening to understand, not listening because you have ears. You know what I'm saying? We have two ears for a reason, to do more listening than talking. That's why we have one voice, one mouth. We have two ears. We need to learn and develop the art of listening, listening to understand and not listening to respond, because you're going to fall short all the time. It's going to cause a lot of discord, confusion, and arguments, because you're going to be like, oh, I thought. What do you mean you thought? We had this whole conversation. If you thought something else, you should have told me at the time. Or maybe the person, it could be, let me rewind. It could also be the person who's talking to you. Maybe they're not as detailed. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they're not detailed. So it's a lot of wiggle room to give you time to think about what you want to think about. Like, for example, if I say, yo, yesterday I went horseback riding and, I had a great time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know, people in general is going to create and make a story in their head. So in your head, you might have thought I went horseback riding in Pennsylvania, because clearly you ain't doing horseback riding in Brooklyn, really. You know what I'm saying? Maybe by the conduit somewhere over there, I think they have like horseback riding. I don't know. I'm not into horseback riding, so I don't know where they have it, but I'm assuming that they don't really have too many horseback riding places in Brooklyn. But the whole point I'm trying to say is, if I just gave you that specific information, you might think I went upstate to do horseback riding. You might think I was on a brown horse. You might think I was on a white horse. You're creating this whole dialogue because I didn't really give you explicit details. You know what I'm saying? So now when I tell you a week later, oh yeah, it was in Florida and it was a brown horse, it was a stallion, a black horse, and this other, you'd be like, oh shit, I didn't even know that. I thought you was in PA or something. And, I thought it was a white horse. And basically, you guys get what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Learn to be very, very detailed so nobody has to assume and interpret and perceive something that is not exactly what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Communication, it's an art. People think communication is just communication. Yes, communication is, because you have a voice and you're talking. So right now I'm talking to you. A 3-year-old is communicating. Are they an effective communicator? Most likely not, but they're still communicating. A Spanish person and a French person talking to each other, neither of them knows what the fuck they're saying, excuse my language, but they're still communicating. You have to learn to be an effective communicator and an effective listener. And more importantly, effective listener, because even if that person is not an effective communicator, because you're an effective listener, after they talk, you can now put your 2 cents and say, okay, so when you said this, is this what you meant? And then that person will be like, oh, no, I didn't mean that. I meant this and the third. But by you listening, you kind of remember certain techniques and what to ask them so you could better understand what they were saying. So, because what's the point of a dialogue, right? What's really the point of a dialogue if you're not understanding fully what this person meant and what they're saying? You just got the basics out of it. That's going to lead to a lot of misinterpretation, assumption, and perception on what that person meant and said. And that's going to cause a lot of confusion. You know what I'm saying? So, again, this video was about understanding and comprehending. To understand and comprehend, you have to become an effective listener. Listen to what this person is saying. So even if they're not an effective communicator, you can still ask certain questions after they're done talking, or you could pause them if they're saying something and you're assuming something else, like, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but you just said, did you mean that? And they're like, no, I didn't mean that. And now you could be in flow with the dialogue. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes if you wait till after they finish fully speaking, you might have forgot what you want to check. You know what I'm saying? So we should try to not disrupt the people as they're talking. And if we do, it should be a very brief pause. We should not disrupt them to take over the whole conversation and turn it into what I want to talk about now. You should stop somebody respectfully and say, I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. But when you meant this, or add your 2 cents, it should be like a 30-second, no more than a minute, just so that person does not lose their train of thought and they can continue going on with what they had to say. You know what I'm saying? So my boy, I hope that makes sense. It's your boy Sincere J Red, Flatbush, Brooklyn. Hit that like button, man. If this don't apply to you, forward it, share it. That's the only way people's gonna get better. This is for like-minded individuals like myself who came from the dirt, from the mud, who didn't know no better, whose life's paths could have went a total different way, but they had to do the internal work to not be a statistic because of their lifestyle and environment. It's your boy Sincere J Red, Flatbush, Brooklyn. Y'all already know.